My name's Jake, I'm 32, and this whole situation started in one of the most uncomfortable, blindsiding ways I've ever experienced. It was a Saturday afternoon, nothing special going on, just me half asleep on the couch after a long week. I wasn't planning on doing anything besides ordering takeout and zoning out to whatever show autoplayed next. My family has this WhatsApp group I muted ages ago because it's usually my aunt sending weird chain messages, my mom posting random pictures of food, and my cousins arguing about sports. So when I saw there was a new video in there, I assumed it was another baby announcement or someone's backyard barbecue. I opened it without thinking. The video started loading slowly, and I realized it was filmed inside my Aunt Susan's living room. The yellow light, people slouched on the couch, everyone looking bored. There was nothing festive about it. They all looked way too comfortable, like this wasn't meant for public eyes. When the audio kicked in, the first thing I heard was my name. They weren't saying it in a normal, hope he's doing well way. It was the tone people use when they think the person they're talking about will never hear them. I froze. It felt like walking into a room and catching a conversation mid-sentence. What about you? I didn't know if I should pause, exit, pretend it never happened, but my thumb wouldn't move. Some part of me needed to know what else was in there. Even as my stomach started sinking like I was watching a slow-motion accident, I couldn't stop. At first, they spoke like they were warming up to the real topic, but it didn't take 10 seconds for things to get ugly. My cousin Mark laughed and made a joke about how I was probably asking for money again, which made absolutely no sense since I've never borrowed anything from anyone in that room. Still, they laughed like it was some running joke. My Aunt Susan, who's always overly sweet to my face, said I constantly exaggerate being tired just to make everything about myself. And everyone nodded like she was describing some universal truth. The weirdest part was how ordinary the room looked. The blue throw pillow behind her, the crooked lamp beside the couch. Details that stuck with me for no reason other than how wrong everything felt. Then my younger brother, who rarely speaks in group settings, chimed in saying I always play the victim. Hearing that from him hit different. He's the one person I thought never judged me like that. The whole time, I just stared at my phone with my hand gripping it so hard my knuckles hurt, watching this alternate version of me they had apparently discussed many times before. It wasn't like they were annoyed with something I'd done. They were building a narrative, a whole character that wasn't me. Then my mom appeared in the frame, arms crossed like she was trying to make herself smaller, and said something that genuinely made my chest tighten. You can't trust everything he says. Hearing my own mother say that hit harder than anything else in the video. She's always been the one who checks on me, asks how I'm doing, acts like she understands me. And suddenly she was saying I exaggerate, twist things, make drama. My uncle laughed and said I needed to grow up already, because a man my age should have his life figured out. My face felt hot, even though I was sitting alone in my apartment. I've always handled my own problems, worked my ass off, never leaned on anyone financially or emotionally, and yet they spoke as if I was some burden they carried around. My mother added that I always disappear when the family needs something, which is just flat out untrue, but at that moment it didn't matter what was true. What mattered was that this was how they talked when I wasn't around. I didn't blink. I didn't breathe. It felt like someone pressing on your chest and refusing to let go. The part that really messed me up came from my aunt again. She said maybe they should start filtering what they tell him, because I can't keep my mouth shut and take everything personally. I've always been the one who protects everyone from unnecessary conflict, the one who keeps things private, the one who tries to keep peace. And here they were painting me like some unstable gossip machine. I looked at the clock on my wall, 3:17 p.m., and for some reason that time burned into my mind. My cousin chimed in saying I always show up at the worst times, like I was some walking inconvenience. The video had these odd cuts, like it was trimmed quickly, but the message was clear. This wasn't new. This wasn't a one-off slip. This was how they talked about me behind closed doors. I kept thinking about how many conversations like this happened without me ever knowing. Watching them tear me apart so casually, with this weird comfort, like they'd done it 100 times before, felt like someone was peeling my skin back piece by piece. But nothing prepared me for the ending. My aunt must have thought she stopped recording because the camera dropped and pointed at the side of the coffee table. All you could see were their legs and half of the living room. But the audio kept going, and that's when my mom's voice dropped to almost a whisper. You don't understand, she said. If he finds out the truth, everything will blow up. My heart cracked open at that. No one answered at first. Then my uncle said, "Just leave it alone. He'll never find out anyway." And the video ended. Cut clean. No explanation, no follow-up. Just that. I stared at the screen like I'd just watched something forbidden. Something I wasn't supposed to witness. I replayed the end to make sure I heard it right. And I had. Ever since that moment, I've been trying to figure out what the truth is. And the strangest part? No one ever mentioned the video. Not once. They acted like nothing happened at all. Like the whole thing was wiped from existence. Except it wasn't. Not for me. I can't unhear that sentence. I can't unknow that they said it. After watching the video, the rest of my day felt like wading through fog. I couldn't sit still. I kept pacing around my apartment, opening the fridge and closing it immediately, checking my phone, replaying scenes from the video in my head. Every vibration from my phone made my heart jump, but no one texted me. Not a single person reacted. The group stayed silent like they all collectively vanished after posting it. I didn't know if I should confront them, leave the group, block everyone, or act like nothing happened. But there was no way to pretend. Not after hearing my own mother whisper about some truth I wasn't supposed to know. That sentence echoed in my head nonstop, like it was carved into my brain. I tried watching TV, but every scene reminded me of something from the video. Every laugh track sounded fake. Everything around me felt slightly distorted. It was the weirdest mix of anger, confusion, and betrayal I've ever felt. Later that night, I took a shower hoping it would calm me down, but instead I found myself staring at my reflection for a long time. I looked exhausted in a way that had nothing to do with sleep. I kept wondering why my family would even talk about me like that. I'm not perfect, but I'm not that person they described. I started trying to think of anything I might have done to deserve that level of criticism. Some fight I forgot, some moment someone could have misinterpreted, some tension I didn't notice. But there was nothing. It felt like trying to assemble a puzzle with pieces from different boxes. And that last sentence from the video, "If he finds out the truth," turned everything into something darker. It made me feel like there was a whole history I wasn't aware of, something hidden under the surface of my own life. The more I tried to understand, the less anything made sense. When Sunday rolled around, I woke up hoping the whole thing was an exaggerated dream. But the second I grabbed my phone, reality came crashing back. I opened the group chat again, even though I knew nothing would be there. And that's when I realized something even creepier. The video was gone. Not deleted for everyone, with a notification. Just gone without a trace. The chat looked completely normal, like the last thing posted was my aunt's picture of a homemade cake. No gaps, no signs of something removed. I checked my phone gallery to see if it auto-saved, checked my downloads, checked every folder I could think of. Nothing. That video didn't exist anywhere anymore. The disappearance hit me harder than the video itself, because it meant someone noticed. Someone acted fast, and someone wanted it erased. I got chills thinking how quickly they must have scrambled to delete it, how terrified they must have been that I had seen it. Except it was too late. At some point I noticed something even stranger. In the member list, my name wasn't showing anymore. I was still in the chat, still able to see everything, but to them, it looked like I wasn't, which made a horrifying amount of sense. They probably thought they removed me a long time ago, which meant they'd been talking freely for months or longer, which meant that video wasn't some slip-up. It was just the first time the curtain fell in front of me. Suddenly, everything fit in a way that made me sick. If they believed I wasn't in the group, of course they spoke like that. Of course they said things they would never say to my face. It wasn't a single moment. It was a window into how they've spoken about me for who knows how long. That Sunday afternoon I texted my mom. Just a casual, "Everything okay over there?" because I needed to test the waters. She replied instantly, cheerful as ever, acting like everything was perfectly normal. She asked about my day, talked about grocery shopping, made small comments about the weather. No hint of tension, guilt, or awareness. It almost felt rehearsed, and that only made the whole thing feel more staged. I tried reading between the lines, but there was nothing obvious. Just the same short, polite messages she always sent. But knowing what she said in that video made every word feel like it was dipped in poison. It was like talking to someone wearing a mask of themselves. Then I called my brother, not to confront him, but just to listen, to gauge his tone, to see if he sounded different. But he picked up laughing, cracking jokes, sounding like the guy I grew up with. The guy I thought had my back. And that honestly threw me off more than if he'd acted weird. Because now I had two versions of him. The brother who joked with me on the phone, and the one who said I always play the victim. Those two versions didn't match. They didn't even overlap. And the more he talked, the more it felt like the call was an act. But maybe I was the one imagining things. Maybe the video poisoned my brain. Maybe I was searching for guilt where there wasn't any. Or maybe he really was performing. It was impossible to tell, and that uncertainty felt worse than anger. That entire night, I kept going back and forth between wanting to confront everyone and wanting to collect more information. I drafted a huge message calling everyone out, questioning every line from the video, demanding answers, but I deleted it before sending. I knew exactly how it would go. They would flip it on me, say I misunderstood, say I was being dramatic, say I took everything out of context. And I couldn't handle hearing those same criticisms thrown back at me again. So I kept quiet. Not because I was scared, but because I needed to understand what I was dealing with. I wanted to see if anyone slipped up, if anyone hinted at something, if anyone felt guilty enough to reach out privately. No one did. When Monday arrived, everything felt off. Work felt different. Home felt different. Even the air felt heavier. Every notification on my phone made my chest tighten. I kept expecting someone, anyone, from my family to message me privately, to ask if I'd seen something, to try to gauge my reaction. But they didn't. Instead, the group chat slowly came back to life like nothing happened. My aunt sent a picture of brunch. My cousin sent a video of his dog doing something dumb. My mom sent a good morning. The normalcy felt so staged it made my skin crawl. Like they collectively hit a reset button and hoped I wouldn't notice. But I noticed everything. And as days went by, the more their behavior seemed controlled, measured, too clean, too curated. And that made the final line of the video. If he finds out the truth, everything will blow up, echo louder and louder inside my head. It stopped feeling like a random comment. It started feeling like a warning, a line rehearsed many times, something they said to themselves more than to each other, something meant to keep a secret alive. And I couldn't shake the feeling that, whatever that secret was, it was directly tied to me. As the week went on, the tension inside me didn't go away. It actually got sharper. It was like every normal interaction with my family now had this invisible weight attached to it. My mom would send a picture of something she was cooking, and instead of thinking it was cute or normal, all I could think about was her voice whispering about the truth. My brother would send a meme, and I'd remember him calling me dramatic behind my back. Everything they did now had two meanings: the version they showed me, and the version I saw in that video. And it messed with my head more than I expected. I didn't talk to anyone about it, didn't vent to friends, didn't mention anything at work. It felt too personal, too bizarre. Something about the whole situation felt fragile, like if I spoke it out loud, it would crack open into something even bigger. So I kept my mouth shut and just tried to coast through the days, even though every part of me felt like I was waiting for a shoe to drop. By Wednesday, I realized I'd developed this habit of constantly checking the group chat, like I was looking for clues. I'd scroll back through old messages trying to see if there was anything, some hint, some weird detail, some moment I missed. But nothing stood out. Everything before the video looked painfully normal. That bothered me more than if I had found something, because it meant my family was either really good at hiding things, or they'd been hiding things for way longer than I imagined. That night, I thought about confronting someone again. I hovered my finger over my mom's contact for a long time. But then I pictured her face from the video, the way she spoke about me like I was someone she didn't trust, someone she needed to manage, and I couldn't hit call. It felt like speaking to a stranger pretending to be my mother. And that realization sat in my chest like a stone. Thursday was when something really strange happened. At around 11 a.m., while I was at work, the group icon vanished, then reappeared. It was subtle. Most people wouldn't notice something like that, but I did. I clicked into the chat and noticed the member list flicker for half a second. I swear I saw my name appear then disappear again. It was so quick I thought maybe my eyes were playing tricks on me. But then I noticed something else. The oldest messages in the chat were fewer. Not by a lot, but enough to be noticeable. Like someone had been cleaning things up quietly. I checked my storage settings and saw the chat size had dropped by a bit. That's when it hit me. They weren't just ignoring the video. They were actively sanitizing the group, deleting things, adjusting members, making sure nothing like that video ever slipped through again. That realization made my skin crawl. It meant they weren't just caught off guard. They were scared. And scared people hide things. By Friday night, I was mentally exhausted. I sat in my living room with the lights off, just listening to the hum of the refrigerator because I didn't know what else to do. I didn't want to keep obsessing, but how do you let go of something like that? How do you just move on when your own family said things they can't take back and hinted at a truth that might flip your entire life upside down? I felt stuck between confronting them and pretending to be clueless. And somehow, both options felt wrong. At around 9 p.m., I opened the group chat one more time. And something happened that I still can't explain. The chat suddenly scrolled itself to the top, by itself. I wasn't touching the screen. It stopped on an old message from months ago, one I swear I had never seen before. It was from my aunt, saying, "He doesn't know. Let's keep it that way." That's all it said. I blinked, scrolled up to see more context, and the message disappeared. Gone. Like it had never been there. I checked everything, searched keywords, cleared cache, reopened the app. Nothing. It wasn't there anymore. I sat frozen, staring at the screen, trying to convince myself I hadn't imagined it, but I know what I saw. It was real for those few seconds. Saturday morning, I woke up hoping it was all just stress getting to me. Maybe my brain was filling in blanks that didn't exist. Maybe the app glitched. Maybe that message was just a trick of the eyes. But when I opened the group chat again, something even weirder happened. I was officially removed. This time for real. I got the notification. You were removed from the group. No explanation. No private message from anyone. Nothing. Just gone. And when I clicked the chat, everything was wiped clean. Not just the video, not just messages. The entire conversation history was reset like a brand new group. I checked my mom's chat. Normal. Checked my brother's. Normal. Nobody said a word to me that entire weekend. And here's the part that still gets under my skin. By Monday morning, the group was back on my WhatsApp like nothing had ever happened, with the full chat history restored, minus the video, minus the strange message, minus anything suspicious. When I asked my mom casually about the group, she acted confused, like she didn't even remember creating it. And maybe that's the worst part. I can't prove what I saw. I can't explain any of it. All I know is I saw that video. I heard what they said. And I'll never forget the look on their faces when they thought I wasn't there. Some things you just don't unhear. And whatever truth they're hiding. I'm not sure I want to know anymore.